Hi, welcome to a really special update here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. By now, most of you, I would assume, have seen the update from 7 News via Mitch Cleary that Sam Docherty, his knee is responding so well that there is a little bit of optimism all of a sudden at the Blues as to what's possible for him returning this year. I've got to say, when I saw it, completely took me by surprise. I think it goes without saying. Generally, an ACL is a 12-month prospect when it comes to recovery. And I thought it was a good time to just sit and look at things from all angles as to what it could mean for the group, the positives, the negatives, and try and come up with some sort of discussion around the topic. So what we know is the following. So he ruptured his right knee in opening round against the Brisbane Lions. It was a very innocuous moment. If you remember, he played on. We didn't suspect a torn ACL at the time. I do wonder if it was a full tear as opposed to a partial tear. Whatever. It was a tear of the ACL and he needed a full knee reconstruction. Previously, he had torn his left ACL twice. So we know that. So he returned to non-contact training last week. And I guess the story now turns to, is there a possibility that he could play this year? I remember people talking about it when it happened and, anything's possible. And I remember just shutting it away. Very similar to the way I used to shut out talk about Charlie Curnow. And I remember we were so scarred by how injured he was that we didn't want to talk about him potentially coming back into the team because, he will never be the same or whatever the case may be. But this is, a subplot to the story of 2024 that I did not see coming. There has been a comparison made to Tyson Goldsack. So I want to just lay some facts out about what happened with Tyson Goldsack. So we go back to 2018. So he tears his ACL in a JLT community match on the 10th of March, 2018. He returns to play on the 25th of August, 2018. So that was a 22-week recovery. He actually played on Josh Kennedy in his return to the AFL. Granted, who had been missing for a little time as well with his own injury. But the facts are that Goldsack came back into the team. He played against the Eagles. He then stayed on the side and he even played in the 2018 grand final. So it's possible. Now, if we look at Sam Docherty, he hurts himself on the 8th of March, 2024. There is a suggestion that a timeline could be drawn out for him to play in the first week of finals, which would be the 6th of September. That's 26 weeks from the day of injury. And yeah, I think the other one that we are currently seeing right now is Dan McStay from Collingwood, who played his first VFL game just last weekend, 295 days after doing his ACL. So that's about 42-ish weeks. So when it comes to Goldsack, I had a look and I looked through and I tried to research as much as possible. And there were a few things that I noted, which I don't know is the case with Doc. But the first was that they used a graft from the quad as opposed to the hamstring in his surgery. The second was that he underwent an intensive rehab regime pre-surgery, but also obviously post-surgery to get back in time. He hurt his back while doing that, but still managed to get himself back into the side. And I guess it's just a question of how does Doc's knee respond? Now, from a practical football point of view, let's break it down a little bit. So, spoke about it last night on the Blue Abroad show with Sean from the Prendercast. And I think having a timeline in front of Doc gives him some hope and therefore gives him something to work towards. Is he a human being or is he something else? This is a guy that has shown an ability to defy the odds on a number of occasions. The seemingly impossible task is one that he has overcome more than once, more than twice. So I think this is part of the makeup of Doc. So giving him the opportunity to attack his rehab to the level of potentially playing would definitely create some energy within him, which would then be transferred into the group. The group would be, I guess, inspired watching the rehab, watching him at least get after it. The practicality of him playing in the side, let's break that down a bit. So, we're currently talking at a time where the Blues have lost 2 in a row. We're talking about some guys who have come into the side after missing, 6 weeks or 8 weeks of football. We're talking about Cottrell, we're talking about Chera, just guys that look like they've missed a bit of footy and are taking some time to get back to their form. So there is the reality of, okay, Doc coming back. He plays a really fluid role. He's versatile. He can play behind the ball. He can play on the ball, on the wing. We saw that he was going to play a bit more of a half-forward role this year. So, there is the reality that he is a guy that would need some touch. So I understand the point of, is it really worth it? Not only that, the team balance, we've adjusted without him. We've been forced to. If you watch the rating show, you'll see that we actually deploy a couple of players to perform his role and make up for it. He is a really experienced head, cool head under pressure, and really has always had this ability to act as a coach on the field. So I do think we would gain value from having him in the side. The big unknown is whether it's feasible that he could not only come back. I think anything's possible. I wouldn't put anything past this guy based on just the makeup of him. And, if the reports are, correct, which I assume that they are, in that his knee has responded very well. He knows all about ACL rehab. So, if things respond well and he gets himself to a point where he can play, I would assume he would need to play a couple of games in the VFL. Beforehand, Goldsack did that. McStay just did that. He played his first game in the VFL. So a lot of it is unknown, and I think a lot of it is hypothetical. The reality is a lot of work has to be done still for him to even be in the frame. But the fact that we're even having this conversation, and the fact that it's even, made headlines in the mainstream media, tells me that there's something in it. There's not nothing in it. There's got to be something in it. So I think it would be a magical story. It's the type of magical story and fairy tale miracle that is the tale of legends. So if he was able to get back and into the side and really impact, it would obviously be remarkable on so many levels. I think for me, I probably just accepted that, okay, 2024 is a year where we're not going to have Sam Docherty, and it's not going to happen, and just had to come to terms with that. I'm sure he at times would have come to terms with that. I guess he's just got to get to work, put himself in the frame. So there's that. But what about you? What do you think about this proposition? Let's list the opportunity and the risk here and see what happens. At the end of the day, we don't have the full picture. We don't know exactly how he's operating. We don't know exactly what the thinking is on the inside. We just have reports. So it is very much a hypothetical discussion. But let's have a crack at it. Chat to you in the comments. We'll go from there. Go Blues.